Good evening from the Tibet Center in South Orange, New Jersey. We'll begin with the recitation of the prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West. By the force of the blessings of the non-fallacious three precious gems and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddha's teachings flourish and spread to the expanse of all areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living there, together with their near ones, who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness, may they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we had hoped and wished. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once. The Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a great gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the Samadhi, which examines the Dharmas, called profound illumination. At the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, "How should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge?" And Avalokiteshvara answered, "Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas and their natural emptiness. Form is empty, emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. The same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus, all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are impure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge. And since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future, by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering, should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed. Tathagata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvaha. O Shariputra, this is how a bodhisattva mahasattva should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the bodhisattva mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, "Good, good, O son of noble family, profound transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice." When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering of the world with its gods, humans, asuras, and Gansarvas, their hearts full of joy, praised the words of the Blessed One. Now we generate bodhicitta. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. So we've been discussing the insight section of the great treatise on the stages of the path to enlightenment by
Where do we leave off?
We left off on page 149, top of the page. So we're discussing dependent arising and emptiness, and specifically the fact that due to dependent arising, phenomena are empty of inherent existence. That emptiness of inherent existence is not a non-existence of the phenomenon. It is the arising of the phenomenon, the dependent on causes and conditions, dependent on its parts, and dependent on our imputing or naming a phenomenon as such. So we start with a qualm. Well, let's start with the Nagarjuna's Precious Garland has said, further, if they misunderstand this, fools who take pride in their supposed wisdom will destroy themselves by abandoning it and fall headfirst to the unrelenting hell. Well, maybe we should go back a little further. If on the one hand you were to think all is empty, that is, does not exist, then you would be viewing emptiness in the wrong way. In this vein, Nagarjuna's Precious Garland says, if this teaching is misunderstood, it ruins the unwise, for they sink in the filth of nihilism. So the important thing is to not consider that something's lacking inherent existence negates something's existence altogether. On the contrary, due to the fact that something lacks inherent existence, it is able to exist. Due to the fact, when we understand that lacking of inherent existence is the same thing as its dependent arising, it is due to the fact that the phenomenon lacks inherent existence that it can arise, that it does arise, that it exists. And to consider that a phenomenon lacking inherent existence negates the possibility of that phenomenon existing would be a nihilistic view. On the other hand, suppose that you do not deny all phenomena, but then say, we have seen these things. How could they be empty? Therefore, an absence of intrinsic existence is not what emptiness means. In that case, you have definitely abandoned emptiness. After you have abandoned emptiness in this way, you will definitely be reborn in a miserable realm due to this action of depriving yourself of the true teaching. And then Nagarjuna says, further, if they misunderstand this, fools who take pride in their supposed wisdom will destroy themselves by abandoning it and fall headfirst to the unrelenting hell. And the this is to, on the one hand, think all is empty and all is empty, and that is does not exist. The first words from Chandrakirti. So there's a qualm that arises. If we had claimed that there were real things and then later viewed them as non-existent, then we would have a view of annihilation. However, we do not accept their existence from the outset. What is annihilated so as to make this view a view of annihilation? Sorry?
What is annihilated so as to make this a view of annihilation?
Correct. If you say that what arose before is now non-existent, that entails annihilation. So this particular quote of Nagarjuna's is being taken, misunderstood, is being taken, is being read literally out of context. Thus, Nagarjuna, so the qualm continues. Thus, Nagarjuna says that such is a view of annihilation. Also, Chandrakirti's clear word says, yogis do not fall to the two extremes if they know that conventional truths, which are produced only by ignorance, lack intrinsic existence, and then know that emptiness of those has the characteristic of the ultimate. They think, how could something which has now become non-existent have existed then? Since they do not regard earlier things as having had intrinsic nature, they do not think that such later becomes non-existent. Later becomes non-existent. So this is the qualm. Basically, these are nihilists who are saying we're not even claiming that something existed to begin with. We are saying that not only are things lacking inherent existence, they do not exist at all. This is not reasonable, says Tsongkhapa. Your supposition is that in order to have a view of annihilation, one must assert the earlier existence of whatever thing is annihilated later. In that case, it would absurdly follow that even the Lokayata proponents of materialism would not have a view of annihilation. For it is not their claim that past and future lives, karma and its effects, etc., once existed and later became non-existent. They do not accept such as having existed in the first place. Therefore, when Nagarjuna said, if you say that what arose before is now non-existent, that entails annihilation, he meant that proponents of existence who assert that things have an essential or intrinsic nature will unquestionably have views of permanence or annihilation. For if they claim that this intrinsic nature never changes, then they will have a view of permanence. If they claim that it once existed, now we're talking about this intrinsic nature, once existed and was later destroyed, then they will have a view of annihilation. So, what is being introduced to us are the ramifications of holding to a view of intrinsic existence. Madhyamikas do not accept the existence of even a particle of essential or intrinsic nature. This fact proves that they lack one type of view of annihilation, the type in which it is held that an intrinsic nature that once existed is later destroyed. It does not prove that they have eliminated all views of annihilation. Okay. In a different way, Madhyamikas are also unlike those who have the other type of view of annihilation, a view in which it is held that karma and its effects do not exist. This is set forth at length in Chandrakirti's clear words as follows. Madhyamikas and nihilists have different theses, since those who have a view of annihilation hold that karma and its effects, as well as other worlds beyond this lifetime, do not exist, whereas Madhyamikas hold that such things lack intrinsic existence. So, to claim that cause and effect, the laws of karma, do not exist is different from claiming that cause and effect do not exist inherently. In order for cause and effect to exist, they must exist lacking inherent existence. They must exist empty of any intrinsic or independent existence, is what Tsongkhapa is demonstrating. Madhyamikas propound that things such as karma and its effects lack intrinsic existence by reason of their being dependent arisings. Nihilists do not assert that karma and its effects are dependent arisings, so they do not use dependent arising as a reason in support of their thesis. Instead, to support their claim that karma and its effects are non existent, the reason they give is that the living beings who are here now were not seen arriving in this life from a former one and are not seen leaving it for a future one. Hence, there is an enormous difference between nihilists and madhyamikas in their reasons. Well, I don't feel that I can add terribly much to what Tsongkhapa is saying here. And now we have Chandrakirti's iteration. Some say that madhyamikas are no different from nihilists. Why? Because madhyamikas propound that virtuous and non-virtuous actions, agents, and effects, as well as all the worlds of this and other lifetimes, are empty of intrinsic existence, while nihilists also propound that those are non-existent. So I'm going to repeat that. Madhyamikas propound that virtuous and non-virtuous actions, agents, and effects, as well as all the worlds of this and other lifetimes, are empty of intrinsic existence, while nihilists propound that they are non-existent. So the difference here is that the Madhyamika view is that all phenomena are empty of intrinsic existence. The nihilists propound that they don't exist at all. Hence, they argue that Madhyamikas do not differ from nihilists. So all of this is to demonstrate, is to show the different facets of what empty of inherent existence would be, and how it differs from empty of existence altogether. Such is not the case, say the Madhyamikas. For Madhyamikas propound dependent arising and propound that because of being dependently arisings, everything, this world, other worlds, and so forth, lack intrinsic existence. The nihilists understand that things such as other worlds beyond this lifetime are not real. The nihilists' understanding that things such as other worlds beyond this lifetime are not real is not reached via knowledge that those things are empty of intrinsic existence due to being dependent arisings. What do they claim? They regard that the aspects of the things in this world are naturally existent. They do not see them come into this world from another and go to another world from this one. So they deny the existence of other things, former and future lives, which are in fact like the things seen in the world. So let's go to note 330. So there is a suggest regards as naturally existent. Yumepa. So all of these views are referring to different ancient Indian philosophies, which claim that if you cannot see, there's no basis for establishing past and future lives. Therefore, the laws of karma that by which we try to gain a better rebirth by the way we act in this life have no basis. You had ancient India was full of different philosophical views that were debated and that are being referred to by Chandrakirti and here explained by Tsongkhapa. So there's a qualm. Even though the Madhyamikas and the nihilists cite different reasons, their view of the absence of intrinsic existence are the same because they are alike in realizing that karma and its effects and the worlds of past and future lifetimes lack essential or intrinsic existence. What's wonderful is that they stick to this view. We share this view because we don't consider that things exist at all. We do not consider that past lives, future lives, cause and effect even operate. And therefore, when you deny the inherent existence of past lives and future lives, we are the same. Tsongkhapa says, even in this they differ, for nihilists hold that the absence of intrinsic existence is utter non-existence, and thus they do not accept karma, etc., as either of the two truths. Madhyamikas, however, accept conventionally the existence of such things as karma and its effects. Chandrakirti's clear word says, even so, their views are similar in one way, because nihilists consider the absence of an essence in things to be non-existence. So here, this is a qualm that Chandrakirti brings up. It's the same qualm that we've just been presented by Tsongkhapa. And the qualm, the reflecting the views of the nihilists, is that the views of nihilists are similar. The views of nihilists and the views of the Madhyamikas are similar in one way, because nihilists consider the absence of an essence in things to be non-existence, which is what they are saying the Madhyamikas also hold. However, the Madhyamika reply is, this is not so. They are not similar because the Madhyamikas assert that things without essence exist conventionally. These nihilists do not assert them at all. This shows that those who claim to be Madhyamikas yet do not accept the existence of karma and its effects, even conventionally, in fact have a view similar to that of the Lokayata nihilists. So here, being brought into the picture are the Madhyamikas who have misinterpreted the Madhyamika view. What reason does Master Chandrakirti give for the difference between the Madhyamikas and the nihilists? He does not say because they have assertions, whereas we do not. He does not say they assert that those are non-existent, whereas we do not say that they are non-existent. Rather, we hold that they are non-existent. So we hold that they are not existent. So here, the misinterpretation being put forward by those um, misinterpreters of Madhyamika is this the difference between they are non-existent and they are not existent, as if there was a difference between those two. Instead, he says that Madhyamikas propound that karma and such lack intrinsic existence. He says that Madhyamikas cite dependent arising as the reason for the lack of intrinsic existence. He says that Madhyamikas do accept those teachings on karma and such in conventional terms. So, another qualm. You propose that things such as karma and its effects lack essential or intrinsic existence. Those nihilists also assert that such things lack intrinsic existence, inasmuch as they assert that they are non existent. So, this is those who deny cause and effect, who deny the laws of karma. And so, since the Madhyamikas say that the laws of karma are empty of intrinsic existence, we also consider that they are lacking intrinsic existence because we're saying that they don't exist at all. Therefore, they agree with the Madhyamikas about the lack of intrinsic existence. This is the qualm. And the reply by Tsongkhapa here is, again, there is a very great difference. For example, suppose someone who does not know who stole some jewels deceptively states that person committed the robbery, and another person who saw the thief steal the jewels also says that person committed the robbery. As it happens, they identify the same thief who has actually stolen the jewels, yet they are not alike, for one spoke deceptively and the other honestly. In this vein, Chandrakirti's clear word says, objection. Madhyamikas and nihilists agree about real things. Reply. Even if they agree that real things do not exist, they are still not the same because the way they know that is different. For example, suppose someone does not really know that a certain person committed a robbery, but out of animosity towards that person, dishonestly proclaims, this person committed the robbery. Another person makes the same accusation, having actually seen that robbery, even though there is no difference between those two with regard to the fact with regard to the fact, still there is a difference in the two accusers. For of the one it is said, that one speaks dishonestly, and of the other, that one speaks honestly. Careful investigation of the first person will lead to disgrace and reproach, but such is not the case with the second. Similarly, here also, when the understanding and the utterances of the Madhyamikas, who accurately know the nature of things, are compared to those of nihilists who do not accurately know the nature of things, what they know and say are not alike. So all of this is to differentiate between something's non-inherent existence and something's non-existence. Some persons, in understanding the absence of intrinsic existence, think that reason refutes such things as karma and its effects. Thus, they conclude that cause and effect cannot be posited in their own system. Chandrakirti totally refutes the proposition that such persons, though wrong about the class of appearances, i.e., conventionalities, have gained an accurate view of the class of emptiness. Therefore, do not take emptiness to mean being empty of the capacity to perform the function. Instead, you must have a way to posit the dependent arising of causes and effects despite the absence of intrinsic existence. Not only that, it's not just that. Instead, you must have a way of positing the dependent arising of causes and effects because of the absence of intrinsic existence. It is due to the absence of intrinsic existence that we can posit dependent arising of causes and effects. Chandrakirti's commentary on the 400 stanzas says, in that case, regarding any object, when it is produced, it does not come. Likewise, when it ceases, it does not go. It definitely does not intrinsically exist. If it does not intrinsically exist, then what is there? Dependent arisings, entities caused by the afflicted and the pure, do exist. This clearly answers the question, if there is no intrinsic existence, then what does exist? The Master Buddha Palita also gives an answer to that, clearly distinguishing the existence from essential existence. Distinguishing existence from essential existence. Buddha Palita's commentary on the fundamental treatise, commenting on the 20th chapter of Nagarjuna's text, says, objection, if time does not exist, and causes, effects, and collections of causes and conditions also do not exist, then what else could exist? Therefore, the Madhyamika position is simply a nihilistic argument. And the reply is, it is not so. It is utterly impossible for time and such to exist essentially, as you imagine. However, they are established as dependent designations. Thus, he refutes this, saying that it is impossible for there to be essential existence, as the essentialists claim. He also says that dependent arisings, says that dependent arisings exist. They are established as dependent designations. Thus, you will overcome countless wrong views if you distinguish intrinsic existence and the absence of intrinsic existence from existence and non-existence. However, you will not mistake the arguments refuting intrinsic existence from refutations of existence itself. Therefore, since the main answer that the Madhyamikas give to scholars who are essentialists proceed from this set of distinctions, I have given a bit of explanation. So, what's very interesting is when you really think about this insight chapter of the Lamrim Chenmo, is that it is a series of considerations that we have to engage in our meditation in order to familiarize ourselves with what is being negated when we work at negating our existence inherently, and what is being negated when we are uprooting the basis for all our suffering. What is being negated? What it is that we have to actually extricate when we are working at removing the root of cyclic existence. So Tsongkhapa, step by step, carefully leads us through these misunderstandings, these misrepresentations of what the negation of inherent existence actually means. And here he's really concentrating on its not meaning the negation of existence altogether. We can go on into, so that completes chapter 11.
There seems to be some mental training needed to train our minds to step by step, follow his arguments, realize we don't think that way. He's clear, he goes step by step, and that I think is part of the training. By reading this over and over again, maybe we'll pick up that habit.
Yes.
I realize how sloppy I am.
And
Causes trouble.
The reading this over and over is so important. Developing real familiarity with what's in here, and simply reading it is important. Simply reading it will deepen. Every time we read it, it will deepen it will clarify, it will disentangle our notions. And that's what I mean, we mustn't think of studying a text like this as being some intellectual pursuit that is separate from real spiritual practice. This process of coming to understand, coming to familiarize ourselves, going through the step-by-step process of having the object to be negated carefully defined, explained, gone into in greater and greater detail with the wrong objects of negation being clearly presented and compared to the correct objects of objects to be abandoned, objects of negation. This is not preparation for the meditation on emptiness. This is the meditation itself. This is the process. Any questions? Any discussions? Any? Nope.
He said that very many times, as Rinpoche said, this is meditation. He would put his finger on the book. He would emphasize it.
Yeah, and this as Tsongkhapa is introducing us to this concept that emptiness of inherent existence means dependent arising. Dependent arising means emptiness of inherent existence. As we explore what that means, as we explore the ramifications of those two concepts being the same sort of different ways of viewing the same thing, he is familiarizing us with it. He is deepening it within us. He is sort of working at molding or meshing this into our actual way of perceiving outer phenomena, inner phenomena, and particularly our view of ourselves.
I guess. I'm not sure whether I want to bring it up, but I mean, it seems like it would really help here to have gone through the argument itself, like the logical argument against intrinsic existence. Because I feel like a lot of, basically all of them are rephrasings. Like if you like the argument against intrinsic existence very clearly, if you really go into its nitty gritty details, it very clearly doesn't prove that the object's non-existent, only that it can't exist in this fairly specific way.
Mm-hmm.
And every position that Tsongkhapa dismisses, he dismisses essentially for the same reason, which is this, that the core argument that all of Madhyamaka is based on very clearly doesn't disprove the existence of these objects. It only disproves their existing by means of some sort of intrinsic nature that is within that object.
It's impossible.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's when I go through the Lamrim, that's on this iteration of going through the Lamrim, I feel like being familiar with that argument would really clarify Tsongkhapa's meaning in these chapters.
So what is the argument?
For example, the argument against intrinsic arising. I mean, you're gonna put me on the spot to explain the argument.
So, but we are being led through this step by step carefully. Here, I mean, we are being set up for what you would call the argument. We are being led through it. This is truly a meditation manual that is leading you through the steps that you have to deepen and come to actually realize in order to have the syllogism lead to an inference of emptiness of inherent existence.
I think I see. I think I understand. So, I mean, do they have to follow in sequence? The argument first, this second, or this first, the argument second? I mean, it feels like going through both at the same time.
The argument, I mean, the reason for establishing emptiness of intrinsic existence is dependent arising. That is the logical reason.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
Okay. But I mean, your qualm, keep it, hold on to it. Don't seek
It's a
it.
pedagogical question. I'm not disputing anything the book says.
No, but what I'm saying is make use of your question
Yeah.
in your contemplation. make use of your question as you study this, because it is those questions that push us along, and we find our answer are dissolve as a result of the deepening of our. That's no question. Okay, so rational analysis, chapter 12. We'll start. Showing that the Madhyamika critique does not eradicate conventional existence. Here we are. This has four parts. You cannot eradicate conventional phenomena by refuting them through investigating whether they are capable of withstanding rational analysis. Two, you cannot eradicate conventional phenomena by refuting them through investigating whether valid cognition establishes them. Three, you cannot eradicate conventional phenomena by refuting them through investigating whether they are produced in one of four alternative ways: from self, from other, from both, from neither. A refutation of all four parts of the tetra lemma, things exist, things do not exist, and so forth, is not a legitimate critique of conventional phenomena. So this is very important, because as we work at negating the inherent existence of phenomena, and particularly the inherent existence of self, we must not have that lead to the negation of phenomena altogether. Uh, the brilliance of Tsongkhapa's presentation of a reason for something's existing, empty of inherent existence, is this dependent arising, is that it very clearly states that it is the arising of the phenomenon that proves that it exists inherently. It exists empty of inherent existence. So, the first of these is you cannot eradicate conventional phenomena by refuting them through investigating whether they are capable of withstanding rational analysis. A proper analysis of whether phenomena, forms, and such exist or are produced in an objective sense is what we call a line of reasoning that analyzes reality, or a line of reasoning that analyzes the final status of being. Since we Madhyamikas do not assert that the production of forms and such can withstand analysis by such reasoning, our position avoids the fallacy that there are truly existent things.
Objective sense.
Question: if these things cannot withstand rational analysis, then how is it possible for something to exist when reason has refuted it? Now, here, just the question suggests that if you are refuting something rationally, uh, if rational analysis refutes something, then how can you claim that something exists? You are mistakenly conflating the ability to withstand rational analysis with invalidation by reason. Many who have made this error claim that production and such exist even though rational analysis of reality refutes them. This is reckless chatter, so we do not agree. To ask whether something can withstand rational analysis is to ask whether it is found by a line of reasoning that analyzes reality. Chandrakirti's commentary on the 400 stanzas says, because our analysis is intent upon seeking intrinsic nature. So it is what is being negated, what is being denied, is the intrinsic nature of phenomena, not the existence of the phenomenon at all. And the one does have to develop a real understanding of the quality of intrinsic existence that we attribute to phenomena, and identify that it is that quality of intrinsic existence that is being negated, that is being denied, that the as we've gone through in the reasoning up to now, that the that a that an intrinsically existent phenomenon would not have the ability to um, operate, to produce, to evolve, to change, to even exist, um, um, due to its being not a dependent arising, but an inherently existent one.
That's what can't stand rational analysis, intrinsic existence, not
Yeah.
the opposite. So, very interesting.
So this is seeking to discover whether forms and so forth have an intrinsic nature that is produced, ceases, and so forth. Thus, the analysis searches to see whether forms and so forth have production and cessation that exist essentially, essentially meaning intrinsically. It is not that this line of reasoning searches for mere production and cessation. Therefore, this line of reasoning is said to analyze reality, because it analyzes whether production, cessation, and so forth are established in reality. When such a line of reasoning analyzes or searches for production and so forth, it does not find a trace of them. They are unable to withstand analysis. However, the fact that this line of reasoning does not find them does not entail that it refutes them. Rather, reason refutes something that, if it did exist, would have to be established by reason, but which reason does not establish. Conventional consciousnesses establish the production and cessation of forms and such. Although forms and such exist, reasoning consciousnesses do not establish them. Therefore, while reasoning does not find forms and such, how could it refute them? For example, a visual consciousness does not find sounds, but this does not refute them. This is similar. Therefore, if production, cessation, and so forth existed essentially, i.e., were established in reality, then reason would have to find them, because it accurately analyzes whether forms and such essentially exist, essentially existent production and cessation. Since such analysis does not find production and so forth, it refutes production, cessation, and so forth that exist essentially, that is, in reality. For if they existed essentially, that analysis would have to find them, but it does not. For example, when a searcher who is certain to find a pot in the east, if it is there, searches in the east for a pot and does not find it, this refutes the existence of a pot in the east. Yet, how could it refute the mere existence of a pot? Similarly, Madhyamika's analysis is certain to find essentially existent production if such existence exists. When it does not find production, this constitutes a refutation of intrinsically or essentially existent production. How could it refute mere production? In this vein, Chandrakirti's commentary on the 400 stanzas clearly states, therefore, when reason analyzes in this way, There is no essential nature that exists in the sensory faculties, objects of consciousness. Hence, they have no essential existence. If they essentially existed, then under analysis by reason, their status as essentially existent would be seen even more clearly, but it is not. Therefore, they are established as empty of intrinsic nature. I think we should stop here. I sort of feel we're...
Aaron, you have names?
No names.
No names.
So we're really sticking to Tsongkhapa's text, and I hope that just reading it together helps it come to life. It's so incredibly specific and rich in the precise words, and it's so magnificently translated, I must say, that it's worth really concentrating on the words in the text. So we will recite the Sutra of the Recollection of the Noble Three Jewels. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha, Bhagavat, Tathagata, Arhat, Samyak Sambuddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sugata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He's completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strength cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who work journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He is not stained by the realm of desire. He is not stained by the realm of form. He is not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats who arise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in ultimate perfection. He dwells on the Bhumi where he sees all sentient beings, and these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavat teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma, which is taught by the Bhagavat, is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the great Yana, they enter completely, they enter insightfully, they enter straightforwardly, they enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. the protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure, the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberating from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace.
Having been liberated,
They show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtues. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore, the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm. So this Saturday we have Tara, the recitation of the White Tara Sadhana here in New Jersey, and everyone is welcome.
at 1 o'clock.
At 1 o'clock, 502 North Ridgewood Road, South Orange, New Jersey. Good night.
No.